Hello and welcome to Big East Time. My name is Matt Callan. We're going to do something a little different than what we usually do. Going to take a step back from this season and kind of reflect on the new Big East, the old Big East, what's happened since the split, and just take a look back, a little reflection. I looked at this in 5 different divisions. We have the new 3 teams, Butler, Creighton, Xavier. Then the 9 teams that left. Then the Catholic 7, the teams that were in both the new and the old. And then take a look at the old and the new by itself. Basically did this in 2 different time periods. Period 1 being the 4 years before the split, and period 2 being the previous 4 years. Didn't do this year, don't have a full year yet. And one other thing to note, West Virginia did leave a year before the other 9, the other 8. So they're not included. So their period 2 would be from 2012 to on. Metrics did this with just basically just RPI, KenPom, just the rankings of those. Then I did another one was just an average of the 2 rankings. Also looked at wins. Then binary tournament, 1 they made it, was 0 they didn't. And then just what percent each team sent its teams to the tournament, this tournament percentage. So we'll look first at the new 3 teams. Of course, Butler, Creighton, and Xavier. Not a whole, not a ton of difference between, I guess, really their previous 4 years. Butler in the Horizon and the A10, and Xavier in the A10, Creighton in the Missouri Valley. Of course, I think you see from the average 1 would be the first from period 1. All the averages here. And average 2 from period 2. Butler was, of course, very successful. Made some deep runs in the tournament with first with Gordon Hayward, Shelvin Mack, Matt Howard, and then they did it without Hayward. But a lot of NBA talent for them in this first 4-year period. And then, the next 4-year period, rough first year, but some stability in the last 3 years. But overall, KenPom said they've been a little worse, assuming a little better, and RPI said they've been a little worse. But pretty similar. Creighton, this would Dougie McBuckets, his stretch right here, would definitely elevated them. And then the other one adjustment period, but they've been heading in the right direction. The same thing. KenPom says they've been better. RPI says they've been a little worse on average. But pretty similar. But another NBA talent there. Xavier's been a pretty consistent program for a while now. Overall, they've definitely been a little better. But look at the averages. KenPom says they definitely have improved. Pretty significant leap there. RPI a little worse. Not a whole lot of jump. 3 good programs before they were in the Big East, and they've been 3 of the better, consistent year in year out performers in the new Big East. Looking at the old Big East now, the 16 team league. DePaul, a little better, but mostly a lot of red there. Should be going in the right direction though. Should be a little more yellow in the future. And then look at Georgetown, Marquette, 2 teams that have kind of fallen definitely a little bit in the new conference. And Providence has done the opposite. They've 4-4 making the tournament in the new Big East. Obviously, let's see the RPI and KenPom numbers greatly decreased, going in the right direction. Georgetown, Marquette, the opposite. I think Seton Hall, you look at this was Isaiah Whitehead led team in his sophomore year. They've definitely been pretty, average or a little below for the previous 6 years. Last 2 years they've been good, and they've been very good again this year. Overall, a little increase. St. John's been a little worse, kind of skewed by this number here. Mullins' first year, not much. That Lavin left that year. And then Villanova, it's obviously been great the last 4 years. Just, of course, the Shefu freshman year going forward, and then Josh Hart era, and I mean, Jays kept it going, but they've overall been better. This is the averages. I mean, not a whole lot of jump. RPI almost identical. KenPom almost identical. Winning a few more games, but sending similar amount of team number to the tournament, and this is just the Catholic 7 teams. So it's 7 by 4, so 12 out of 28, and 13 out of 28 opportunities to make the tournament. So been pretty consistent. And I mean, hopefully the Georgetown, Marquette, fall off. Providence, Seton Hall rise. Villanova's been better. St. John's a little worse. They kind of all have kind of balanced each other out. Been a pretty consistent conference. If you look at the old teams only, the teams that left, Cincinnati's very consistent. Very consistent. They've been a little better. RPI and KenPom wise since the split. I mean, UConn's a team that's definitely fallen off a bit. Louisville stayed very consistent. Left this as a year. This was a self-imposed ban, but obviously a very good year. Notre Dame, very consistent. They're the one year struggle, but overall they've been very good in the Big East and out. Pitt's fallen off a little bit. Much better in the Big East than they've been in the ACC. Rutgers has struggled in the Big Ten. They haven't been very good recently, but looking like they're getting a little better. South Florida's been, they didn't have a ton of success in the Big East, but they've been pretty terrible in the AAC. Syracuse, another team that's kind of fallen off. West Virginia, the 1 year, but they've been very good and have another really good year this year. I mean, but the RPI, much worse. Average KenPom, much worse. Winning less. 68%. Sending teams to the tournament of these 9 in the first period, and then just 51. Still good. Not quite as, almost 70% of these 9. That includes, the Rutgers zeros and the South Florida zeros. And they have the 1. Definitely a fall off, but I think if you look a little further, it's really the American Athletic Conference teams have really struggled, and the teams went to the Power 5, they're much better. Of course, the American has been South Florida, Rutgers for the 1 year, Louisville for the 1 year. And then Cincinnati. Cincinnati's been really the one constant there. They've been good. But I mean, the Power 5 have dropped a little bit, but overall they've still been very good. Now just the whole old Big East, all 16. Seeing this go down to the averages. Interesting that if kind of a hypothetical if the conference had stayed together and everything played out the same, which of course it wouldn't with different schedules and whole bunch of differences, but definitely a drop off of these 16 teams since the split as a whole, which I thought was interesting. 57% going to the tournament in those 4 years, down to just below 50. Definitely a drop there. Then you look at the new Big East. We've seen all of them here, but the averages, this is from the 10 Big East teams from before the Catholic 7 and the new 3 came together. And then this is the actual conference. It's been pretty good. I mean, pretty good tournament, 55%. Wins up a little bit. But overall, just I think the biggest takeaway is that really, hypothetically speaking, if the conference kids stick together, it would have been, these last 4 years have been much worse than the previous 4 years. And the new Big East has been an improvement on that. Still hasn't been quite as good as the old Big East, but it's, KenPom, very close. And it's interesting that KenPom had, it was really universal for, definitely a majority of teams and the majority of seasons. It was, KenPom had a better ranking for really almost every team in the Big East. Something interesting. You see me in the tournament percentage, 57 to 55. From the old and the actual old conference and the actual new conference. Not bad for the new conference. And I just did it by year. You can see mostly the lighter colors in these 4 years, and they've had a couple the darker red years, not quite as good, but a couple really good years. And really, if you look forward to this half a year, this 2017-2018 season, in the new Big East is actually if it plays out this way, would actually become the best season of the last 9 years and of the average rank of RPI and KenPom. Both metrics show that, and I think it's definitely the new Big East has had not quite as many really good teams, but the worst teams have gotten better. I think it counts for that, and that was part of the the magic of the old conference. How many teams you had at the top. I think the new Big East is getting there. I think they've been better every year. Numbers don't exactly show that, but I think they've definitely shown improvement with the exception of this 2015-2016 season. Just of a rank of this is just the ranking of the RPI KenPom average, and 2010-2011, that was the record-setting 11 tournament team year. No surprise that's number one. And then 2009-2010, but then you have a couple seasons of the new conference fitting there at 3 and 4 above these last 2 years of the old conference. Interesting just to think about what would have become of the Big East had the current team stayed together. There's definitely been a ton of different factors that weigh in the success of a program, but I thought just an interesting analysis of in comparison of what we've seen from the old and the new in the last 4 years. Definitely would be interesting to look back, getting a bigger sample size, but that's going to do it for Big East Time. My name is Matt Kellen, and thank you for watching.
Thank you very much for listening. This has been RoundTable Time. Remember, there's always another seat at the round table, so please like, comment, subscribe, and share, or you can find us on Twitter at RoundTable Time. Thank you.